And then there's this other funny word, Earthships. Who here has heard of Earthships? Oh, yeah. That's fantastic. Wow, it's about half of you. That's amazing. Okay. So Earthships, this is the name that Reynolds came up with to call the actual buildings he makes. Earthships being a metaphor, because like a ship out to sea, these Earthships are totally self-sufficient, and earth is one of its key construction materials. But you have to kind of sail the Earthship a bit, interacting with it for it to perform. So like opening and closing vents and that kind of thing in order to make sure you have a nice, comfortable temperature. But really succinctly put, leaving out all the hippie language, they really are just this: state-of-the-art, sustainable, off-grid buildings. Yeah, that's, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's incredibly inspiring. Next up, this is an Earthship at night, and this is the same Earthship in the day. I'm just going to show you some images of Earthships. They can be beautiful, huge, large mountain mansions, and this is an interior greenhouse, and this is a school, a Waldorf school in South America, and they can be castles, and then, you know, little tiny survival models. And this is up in the mountains, and you can find them in the tropics. This is the one we built in Indonesia. You can have all the amenities you want, including garages, and yeah, beautiful, comfortable, inspiring, and how you like. So Earthships cover 6 human needs, met by following 6 building principles: food and energy or electricity, and clean water, shelter, and garbage management. This is a human need now. And sewage treatment. This is a human need. And so I'll just briefly state the principles, but I'm going to go into them in depth. So the first one is building with natural and repurposed materials. You can kind of see that right down there in the garbage management. And heating and cooling through thermal mass. I'll get into that, to create a comfortable living environment without electricity. And using wind and solar energy or other ways to create electricity or harness things from the environment. Harvesting and filtering rainwater to provide drinking and wash water. Containing and treating its own wastewater without external contamination. And producing its own food in an integrated greenhouse. So let's get into it. Natural disasters strike, and the power grid goes down, and where I'm from, storms frequently cause power outages, sometimes so severe that they last for a week. And a lonely, elderly soul who can't get to a neighbor's place for one of 100,000 reasons I can think of, can't get to a wood stove, ends up freezing to death. There's stories like this all over the world. An Earthship should maintain a comfortable temperature inside, no matter the climate outside, and should do so without electricity. This is an Earthship from outside, and here's another one. And this is a greenhouse, an Earthship greenhouse in Quebec, Canada. And just this next slide is what it looks like inside. See outside right now? You paying attention? This is inside. Oh, yeah. So how does an Earthship do this? Thermal mass. A stable year-round temperature is achieved because Earthships are built with a large thermal mass. Think of thermal mass as the opposite of insulation. It's more like a battery. Instead of trying to keep heat or cold in, a large amount of high mass, such as earth, is used to build the exterior and some interior walls. And wanting to find its equilibrium, the mass radiates heat when the surrounding air is cold and absorbs heat when it's hot. Additionally, no matter the supplementary built-on mass, at a certain depth, the earth has a constant, more comfortable temperature that can be tapped into. The relatively large thermal mass of an Earthship versus heavy reliance on insulation is a major, if not the major, difference between Earthships and conventional buildings. So I'll just use the pointer here for a second. So this earth down here and this mass right here. You can see how in the hot summer, the angle is such that it doesn't heat up in here. And in the winter, when you need it, it comes in and it heats up in here. Many people don't believe it. So an experiment was done in the middle of the night. All the windows and vents in an Earthship were opened until the internal temperature fell down to 0, but no further, because we don't want to kill the plants. And then everything was closed all back up again, and within half an hour, the entire place was back up to a comfortable room temperature. And here you can see what the living space is like in relation to what's around it, including the thermal mass hidden behind and below the comfort zone it creates. Now, the thing is, what if you're in a climate where you don't get a lot of sun? If the sun can't heat the earth, how would we charge this thermal battery? Well, any supplementary form of heat could be used, such as a wood stove or a fireplace. And once the thermal mass is charged up, it will radiate heat all night. You don't have to keep feeding the fire, so much so that many people find themselves throwing their blankets off.